Today, we're proceeding with Tanya, chapter 42, part 4. Today's Tuesday, February 16th, and we're going to be learning today a meditation towards higher consciousness, a transformative meditation. I hope that you'll feel comfortable to be able to focus with me here this morning on a 5-minute meditation after some introductions. In this journey of Tanya, we've learned so much about the nature of God, the nature of our soul, and our trajectory and purpose upon this earth. Where we're heading towards right now is to a meaningful relationship with God. The way that God designed the world is such that God is hidden. And if we're going to have a tangible relationship with God, we're going to have to meditate our way towards that. That was a foundational concept that we learned in this chapter, in chapter 42. That the key to our emotions is our das, which is the third of our intellectual attributes. After we capture an idea, we then understand it, is the first 2 steps of intellect. We then need to meditate upon it. Just like a piece of meat, it needs to marinate in the sauce as long as possible in order to truly capture the flavor. So too, in order for us to assimilate a concept to the point that we can feel it, we need to meditate upon it. Now, that doesn't take all that much time. Today we're going to be doing a 5-minute meditation, which has received a tremendous feedback, warm feedback, positive. From last week, we did a 5-minute meditation as well, a 5-minute focused thinking process. And it really worked with a lot of people. I hope that it will work with you too. I just hope that you will be able to put away any distractions by turning off TVs or radios or distractions, and make sure that you're sitting in a place that's private, without telephones, without distractions. And we said that there is no doubt, we learned, that when you dwell on a topic, the amount that you dwell on it will depend on how much it illuminates within you. But all souls, even the most coarse of souls, will experience some degree of inspiration, of emotion after some period of concentration. So the kind of emotion that we're trying to nurture is a tangible emotion with God. We have emotions regarding our spouses and our children and our parents. We have emotions regarding our finance, our money, our stocks and bonds, our real estate. We have emotions regarding our president and our politics. But do you really have an emotion with regards to your God? When it comes to politics, you're advanced. When it comes to finance, you're advanced. But when it comes to faith, when it comes to spirituality, are you still in diapers? And that's what we're trying to develop right now in chapter 42 of Tanya, which is this ability to nurture and mature our emotion with God. Foundational to that emotion is that the Alter Rabbi explained to us in Tanya that we must begin not with love, but with awe. A relationship that begins with love is easy come, easy go. A relationship that begins with awe is slow to come, and therefore slow to go. It's far more authentic when you begin a relationship based on the terms of the one you're connecting with, as opposed to beginning a relationship with love, which is based on your own terms. A relationship based on awe is on how you make the other feel. A relationship based on love is how they make you feel. If it happens to be going well for you, you're in the relationship. As soon as that stops, it's over. But a relationship that's based on awe is one that is unconditional. It's got to do with the greatness and appreciation of the one that you're connecting with, and not in the mood swings and comfort zones of yourself, which are subject to fluctuations, as we so well know. So last week we spoke about a beautiful meditation in part 3 of chapter 42. And that was a meditation which allowed us to get to know the presence of God all around us. That God is not some sort of optional add-on to our consciousness, but that God is actually everywhere within every single detail of the universe, exactly like our soul. Our consciousness is in every single aspect and detail of our bodies. Just like you don't need to receive a memo to know that your finger is hurting or your toenail is hurting because your soul is in every single corner and nook and cranny of your body. So too, God is in every single nook and cranny and corner of the universe. And God knows everything that goes on, not by virtue of a elaborate spy network, but because he is everywhere. And that's an awesome realization upon which we meditated last week. The point where we begin today is I still can't see it. I appreciate in my mind that God is everywhere, just like my consciousness is everywhere within my body, from my eyeball to my cheekbone to my tooth to my kneecap and my heel. Every single part of my body has my consciousness within it. But still, I can't see God, and that bothers me. And that's where we begin today's meditation. What happens if I don't see God? No see, no problem. No see, no problem. I want you to think about where we're going today, which is to evolve our relationship with God to the point that even when we don't see him, we still are conscious and aware that he is there with us all the time. Okay, so on Facebook, it's good to welcome everybody here. Nice to see you, Marty and Harvey and Corey. Thank you, Corey, for your kind words. I have to say that I'm very, I'm pretty emotional, I think, from the loss of my wife's grandfather, Rabbi Gershon Mendel Gorelik. It's not an easy process, so are my kids. And thank you for that. I think today's meditation is connected to, well, certainly was inspired by this loss. Good morning, Rob Berger and Dan and Dean and Rob Saunders. Rob says, I really don't have a quiet space to go to because I'm driving to my next job, but I love listening to you every morning that I can, and I'll do the best I can to meditate while driving. Okay, but Rob, keep your eyes on the road, my friend. You can meditate while driving, but keep your eyes on the road. Be safe. Alicia, good morning, Rabbi Noel. Fantastic. On YouTube, welcome to Elaine and Ron Collins and Keith Kleinig. Shalom. It's good to see everybody. So here we are. We're about to get into our meditation with some quick introductions. I'm going to just describe what we're going to be meditating upon before we actually do the meditation. And that is, all of this obviously is what we learn in Tanya chapter 42. And in case you have the book in front of you, I highly encourage you to review what we learn after we learn it, after the lesson. Where we are today is on page 542. At the very bottom of page 542 is where we begin today's meditation. Last week's meditation was until page 542. 3 or 4 pages, and today we're doing page 542 at the very bottom. I'm not going to do it inside today. I don't have time for that, but I will be doing it all in my own language. So even after the above meditation of last week, it's still challenging to keep constantly aware of the invisible God. In order to have a feeling for God in a very basic way, Tanya now offers us another easy to relate to meditation. And that meditation is as follows. When we see a king, when you see a king, we assume that his identity and character or within the clothing, within the pomp, within the fanfare, even though they are invisible. You cannot see the king's identity. You can't see the king's character, the king's spirit. If you only saw the king's coat, you wouldn't feel awe from the king's coat. Or if you saw only the king's chariot, it's nice to see the king's chariot. But when you feel awe from the king, it's from the king's spirit. It's from the king's consciousness, the king's attention and awareness, right? So even though when you see a king, you don't actually see his consciousness and awareness, that actually is invisible, yet we automatically are assured that within the clothing, within the body, within the army, or behind the army, behind all of the pomp and the fanfare that surrounds the king, the clothing and the body that he is found as consciousness. And even though you can't see his consciousness, you can safely assume that it's there. In exactly the same way, we can also assume the invisible presence of God whenever we become conscious of his garments, his clothing all around us, his body. When we realize that everything in this universe, animals, trees, humans, light, sun, moon, stars, everything that exists is but a creation of God. It couldn't exist without God. It's then that we realize that the sunrise is the body of God, is an expression of God. And the cucumber and the starfish and everything else that's beautiful in this world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is all an expression of God's creative energy. So where you see the effect, you know that there's a cause within. When you see, just like when you see the body of the king, you can safely assume that the king's consciousness is within. And therefore you can bow before the king, because you know the king's consciousness is here, even though you can't see it. So too, when we see the manifestation of God's power, his creative energy, in the starfish, the cucumber, the sunrise, and the beauty of the seashore, in nature all around us, you can safely assume that since this is God's expression, you can safely assume that God is found between them. That God's essence, God's consciousness and awareness and spirit is found within them. So the fact that you cannot see God is not a problem, because what the Alter Rebbe is telling us today is that we can't see the king either. You can't see your wife's soul either, or your husband for that matter. When you look in your wife's eyes, you know that her soul is there. You can't see it if you've never seen your wife or your husband's soul, but you know that it's there when you see their body. And it doesn't matter if they're wearing 3 layers of clothing or 7 layers of clothing or 1 layer of clothing. It makes no difference. You know that beneath that clothing, beneath that body, is their soul. So you cannot, it's not legitimate to say, I cannot see God, therefore I cannot have a relationship with God. Because you can't see your children's spirit either, or your parents' spirit either, and you know that they're there when you see their body and you see their clothing. It makes no difference, says the Alter Rebbe today, how many garments the king is wearing. Whether he's wearing many garments or just a few. Even though Hashem's light is hidden with countless layers of garments of concealment, his essence is surely to be found within them. So just as when you see the king, you're filled with awe, though the awe is directed to the hidden character of the king and not his physical body, not his visible body. So too, when we see the world, which is the body of God, the expression of God, we can reach the same result. And that's where this meditation is going to lead us here this morning. Good morning, Miriam. Nice to see you here with us from New York. So what I'm going to do is, friends, I'm going to begin this 5-minute meditation. As I'm developing my concepts here. I'm developing my style and experimenting with what I'm doing. I'm going to actually use the very same tune as last week as a background nigun. I've got to find the right tune. I did try a different tune last week and it didn't do the trick for me. I wasn't happy with the other tune. I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try to keep it somewhat lower in the background, the tune. But I would like you to please try to put yourself into a quiet space. Of course, unless you're driving, don't get into a quiet space unless you want to pull over. If you're able to close your eyes, if you find that helpful, if you don't want to close your eyes, whatever works. I'm going to take you through this 5-minute guided thinking process. So we're going to try to do this together. Okay? All right. I'd like to ask you to try to breathe in. Breathe in deeply and breathe out. The word for breath is neshama. It also means breathing When we breathe in, our soul becomes more present within us. We become more conscious. As you breathe in, try to inhale for 5 seconds. Hold it in, and then exhale for 5 seconds. As you try to feel the coldness of the air coming into your nostrils, try to feel the warm air going out of your nostrils. Breathe deeply in 5 seconds. Hold it in as much as you can. And breathe out for 5 seconds. Try to transcend to a higher level, a higher soul level. As you breathe deeply in the neshama, the breath, the soul. And you breathe out the breath that has been warmed by your soul. Try to climb inside of your body. See the world from the inside out. Feel your soul and sense your body from the inside. This is the angle of your soul. See your body as a garment, as a jacket, as a very elaborate and perfectly custom-made, tailored suit. The most perfect suit that dresses your soul. As you see the world from the inside out, from the soul, seeing the body. I want you to try to picture the person that you love. Take one person that you love, and I want you to think of them. If they're alive, it might be a little awkward as you realize that you're socially distanced from them right now. You maybe haven't seen them in months, maybe a year. And as you think deeply about them, think about what you miss about them. What do you miss about them? Realize it's not their body that you miss. It's their heart. It's not their fingers and toes. It's their heart and mind. It's their consciousness and awareness. It's their soul. So you can call them, maybe video call them, and speak to their heart, thus connecting with their soul. Now I want you to see yourself approaching them after days, weeks, or months of social distancing separation. I want you to see yourself approaching this person that you love so much. Walk towards them. Picture them in your mind. As they walk towards you, this time you see their body covering over their soul. Not only do you see their body covering over their soul, but you see many layers of clothing covering over their body, which covers over their soul. In fact, it's winter. It's snowing outside. They're wearing heavy winter garments, gloves, hats, scarves, boots, heavy jackets. But as they walk over to you, all bundled up, as you approach them, it makes no difference to you how many garments they're wearing, because you instinctively know that their soul, their consciousness is inside of all of these layers. As you look at their eyes, and you can only see their eyes because they're wearing a mask as well. As you look into their eyes, you know that behind the mask, behind the layers of clothing, behind the body, is present the soul. No matter, you know that this is them. The clothing makes absolutely no difference. This is your beloved. This is your grandchild. This is your child. This is your parent. This is your spouse. This is the one you love. You embrace them, but what are you embracing? Not their clothing, not their hat, the scarf, the gloves, the jacket, not the heavy sweater or the mask. You've embraced their spirit, their hearts and mind. You've embraced their consciousness, even though you can't see it. But you do feel so much better knowing that you're in their physical presence. It's so much better than a video call, because it's their physical presence that allows you to connect on a more tangible and a more meaningful level. It's not the physical that you're seeking, but the physical garments of body and clothing help us be sure that their soul is present within them. And even if the one you love is no longer alive, you can hug them too, even when they're deceased. Because it's the soul that you're after. It's their love. It's their joy. It's their smile. It's their happiness that you miss so desperately. Hashem is the master of the universe. Hashem is abstract and hard to grasp. But when we see his actions all around us, his awesome acts of creation, we intuitively know that these are his expressions. These are his manifestations. Hashem is found inside of each of his actions. Think of the sunrise. Think of the sunset. This cannot happen without a master designer. Look at the beauty of a sunflower, the majesty of a leaf, the dignity of a cat. None of this happened on its own. Hashem created it all. Hashem is to be found within. Train yourself to see the beauty of the world as Hashem's jewelry and interior design. You know that he is here like your grandchild, hidden beneath layers of winter's clothing. See the mountain and give God a hug. Smell the flowers and give God a kiss. Hear the chirping of the birds and let your heart skip a beat as you sense the presence of the awesome Master. Breathe deeply as we ground this new perception into our consciousness today. Return back to consciousness, back into your body. Start to feel your body again as you look at your body and notice it from the inside out again. From the soul, looking at the garment, the custom tailored suit, which is your body. Feel the cold air coming into your nostrils and the warm air exhaled. As you breathe deeply for 5 seconds, hold it in as long as you can, and exhale deeply for 5 seconds. Do this 2 more times, in and out. And let the light linger within your awareness. Friends, God is the center of all life. Nothing can exist without his illuminating presence. Everything that exists is but an expression of him, a garment that he's wearing. Like your loved one, you can grab the sleeve and embrace the heart. When we can realize that everything is the work of God. When we can retrain our mind's eye to see Hashem everywhere, to see the work of Hashem everywhere, I know that I'm never alone. Without fear, without anxiety, I reach a place of serenity and peace, of equanimity. Though I don't see God, that is no problem. I don't see my beloved either. I would love to hear your thoughts as to what you're feeling right now. If you could post 1 or 2 words in the comments box, just to share what you might be feeling. It would help me understand. It would help me feel what you're feeling. Despite the distance over the screen, if you could post in the chat box what you're feeling right now, what you're seeing right now, what you're sensing, I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your feeling, because I can't see you. I can only sense your soul. And I can only do that if you share with me your feedback. As I wait to hear your thoughts, I want you to know that the Alter Rebbe now tells us in Tanya that faith is not a destination. A relationship with God is never a place that you're going to reach. Relationships are complicated. I don't think you could ever say about a relationship with your wife or your husband that you've ever reached the summit and that you are in the perfect place. A serene relationship, a meaningful relationship, is more of a mirage. It's more of a journey than a destination. And if that's true of human relationships that we can touch and feel, how much more so is that true of a relationship with God, which is abstract and ethereal? Indeed, the word emunah, faith, says the Alter Rebbe in Tanya today. The word emunah, faith, also means training. Because just like the athlete needs to repeat the process over and over and over and over until he becomes a world champion. And even then he cannot stop, because once he's become a world champion, if he gets lazy, he will soon lose his title. It's only through the constant repetition that the skilled athlete can maintain his title as world champion. And the same goes for the skilled craftsman that becomes the legend because of his repetitive training over and over and over and over, the process again and again and again and again. You cannot store the skill in your mind or heart. It's got to be exercised regularly on a daily basis. You don't become a Salvatore Ferragamo by mere genetics. It's a skill that you need to nurture. A chef, a tailor, a master builder is a skill that needs to be practiced. Meditation is key. Constant meditation every morning is key if we're going to reach a meaningful relationship with God in what we're going to call faith, emunah, because the word emunah means training. Faith and training is exactly the same word. Faith is not a destination, it's a journey. Like you go to the gym every single day, and if you don't, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the consequences, or your body will tell them to you. So too in our relationship with God. You got to keep on form every single day, and that is through this meditation that we've done today. The meditation of last week, you'll find that at youtube.com/Jewish Gardens. Beautiful to see the comments coming in. Daniel is feeling relaxed, which is beautiful. Relaxed, prepared for a day which potentially could be chaotic. You're feeling strengthened. Harvey, sense of calm, equanimity, and spirituality. Harvey, you're describing higher consciousness. That is beautiful. Good morning, Dan. Miriam, in Hebrew, hakalal nefesh, she feels lightness of the soul. She feels transcendent. Another beautiful expression. That's the goal right now. We spend so much of our lives living, so much of our day living inside of the swamp. The morning meditation is for us to lift up higher. Because when you start your day high, you have hope for that day, to overcome your problems, to face them with strength, not struggle. Fight, not flight. And not to say stupid things that you're going to regret, but to approach them with wisdom, with courage, and with vision. Marty, I spent a warm embrace with my own Zayda who left this plane in 1965. Wow. Now that's a Yizkar meditation. Love it. We actually did a similar meditation, Marty, on Thursday night in lesson 2 of JLI, of the Journey of the Soul. I hope that you'll enjoy that. I know that you missed the class live. I hope you'll enjoy the recording. Delight, closeness to Hashem, says Alicia, and see Mom's soul. She acknowledged that where I was with her during the time going up, gracefully. Beautiful. Alicia, I'm thrilled to hear that you're able to connect not only to the living, but also to those deceased. And Elaine is taking some processing, but on a platform of serenity. This is where we're at, friends. Because what the Alter Rebbe is telling us right now is that there is no shortcuts to relationships. If you want to have a meaningful relationship with someone you love, you're going to have to invest time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears, quite literally. In a relationship with God, it's going to take the same effort. At the beginning of chapter 42, the Alter Rebbe told us that you're going to have to invest exertion, toil of the soul, and toil of the body. Struggle with the soul means the struggle of meditation. It's not easy. It's something that you absolutely must do. And if you do the meditation, I know we might have gone maybe 8 or 9 minutes today. I'm trying to get better at this. I'm sorry. It's a work in process, and I'm learning together with you. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Dan is feeling joy. Thank you, Jan. Dan, wow. 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 This is the meditation I want to leave you with, friends. I highly encourage you to read through the chapter, what we learned today at the bottom of page 542, inside of the practical Tanya. Page 542 is what we read today. 3 pages, no big deal. And I hope that you're feeling uplifted, positive, joyous, relaxed, connected, transcendent, feeling your soul, feeling inspired to a more meaningful life, a more purposeful life, a life connected to the one that sent you, connected to your life source, to your energy source, to your power source, to Hashem, the master of the universe. Thank you, friends, for joining me here this morning. I'm going to conclude right now. And today is Tuesday. Corey teaches a class at 11:30 on Hebrew language through the Psalms of King David on Zoom at 11:30, jewishgardens.com/Zoom. Tomorrow we will resume with the study of Talmud. Thank you for joining me today. I'd love to hear your feedback and comments. Send me an email to rabbi@jewishgardens.com. That's rabbi@jewishgardens.com. Shalom, friends. Have a wonderful day.